My name's Hammerhead, a.k.a. No Award lead game designer. This is Beer. He's a game designer as well. And then Scott is the lead content something or other. Yeah. Okay, so how many people have been to a roundtable discussion before? Show of hands.
Yay.
And how many people have never been to a roundtable discussion before? Okay, so there's a lot of people who've never been to a roundtable. This is not going to be a big presentation where we talk about PvP for an hour. It's a thing where you guys, as a group, sort of discuss what it is you like about PvE, what it is you hate about it, what you want us to change, what you want us to improve. And so basically, whoever wants to start out, and Stevie, you can just pass the mic to you, and we will just have a chit-chat about PvE in EVE for an hour.
Come on. Just go for who puts their hands up first.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm Sean Hawkins from Star, and I remember hearing on the 7th Alliance tournament that there was discussion about the new player content changing. And as a Star member, I deal a lot with new players. I would like to hear from you guys what exactly is going to be changed to the PVE side of the new player content and what we would look forward to talking to new players about it.
Okay, do you want to take this?
I'll take that. Oh. You want me to? I'll take it.
Okay.
Does this work?
No.
Hello. Whoa. I hate mics. In Dominion, we are doing NP changes, and mostly it is introducing new players to exploration and hopefully to PvP or
Death.
Death. Everybody's gonna die. That's basically gonna be like one of the paths. It's usually been 3. Like we changed in Apocrypha, it's gonna be, killing and businessy and mining. Basically, we've done basically a whole line of exploration. You're finding sites, scanning down, and delivering stuff back and forth. PvP, yeah, it's basically going to be PvP. It's going to be maybe a little more NPC, enemies, but it's basically teaching you to be in PvP. So that's also teaching techniques and so forth. And that's basically what's coming in for that specifically.
And one of the main things there too is also teaching people that they shouldn't be afraid of having their ships blown up. So several of the missions in that new Advanced Warfare arc will actually require the player to go out there and get blown up a few times so that they just kind of get used to it. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hi, I'm CSM Bunyip, and I was wondering, are we going to see any dynamic content in missions? We already have the story arcs, but are we going to see like missions with variable amounts or types of enemies or anything of that nature in the near future?
Well, the enemies already do vary to some extent. There's the clusters of NPCs you see in the missions are like slightly random, but I mean maybe they're not extremely random enough to the point where you're noticing it. So,
yeah. But we have started doing more of that. All the sleeper sites that we built for Apocrypha, for instance, are based on simple templates for the site, but then there's a variable as to what exactly spawns there when you fly in. So it's a little bit different every time you go in, and that's definitely something we want to do more of. There's a lot of old content in the game right now that we really want to get around to fixing and sort of bringing up to that level as well. It's really just a matter of how soon we can get to it, but definitely something we're working on doing. Yeah.
Okay, I see a hand up over there. Bear with me while I trot around the room.
Yeah, and keep in mind this isn't just like this is not a panel discussion where you constantly ask us questions. This is meant to be a roundtable where you guys discuss amongst yourselves and disagree and yell at each other and throw things.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes here. So I mean, if you guys have good ideas, I'm going to jot them down, and
okay, I don't know.
Everybody wins.
I mean, obviously, when T2 battleships were first introduced, everybody, I mean, even Over said there's going to be a T2 battleship that everyone is going to want for missions, and then we had Marauders. And I know, I mean, everybody, most of us here probably run missions to make money. It's easy, and I think that's the problem. I think missions are too easy. As soon as I got my Chronos, I skilled up Marauders to 4. I now warp into missions, release my drones, and fall asleep because I can perma-run my tank. I might lose a drone, and I'm done. And I mean, I don't know about the Golem or I know there was issues with the Vargur. Not a lot of people like the Vargur, but I think that somewhere between a level 4 and a level 5 mission needs to exist. I think there needs to be something small corp level, 3-4 people, you know, like a Marauder, a logistic ship, and maybe something else in Empire, without having the problems, the faction loss, the standing loss problems that result from running level 5 missions would be nice to have around.
Do people agree? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And also, I think maybe integrating some harder level 4 missions with sleeper technology, not necessarily technology, but the sleeper AI should be implemented in a lot of missions as well now.
Only for the chief NPC. I mean,
Right.
you don't want all of them.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I mean, using AI really for the NPCs, aside from the sleepers, is a bit of a misnomer because there's no intelligence about it whatsoever. So.
Might just be harder, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a logistics ship in the mission, you know, I mean, what do you do in PvP? You go after logistic ships first, you know. I mean, that's what you know. It's a little bit more AI in regular missions, not just sleeper.
Hi, I'm Boris Hodge from the Help My Mission channel. Can that sort of channel be added to the actual main list? Because so far, the Help My Mission channel's helped out thousands of people. And so far, we're about twice the size for the actual CCP's missions channel.
Yeah, I can. I'm not exactly sure what the official. We don't usually add new channels all the time, but I've seen some internal mails recently about adding a official channel. So yes, it's absolutely possible, and we can look into doing that. Maybe if you want to just contact me after this, we can chat.
Certainly.
Or Scott will take a note of it or something.
Yep. Done and done.
With the dynamic mission content, there's a lot of discussion on the forums and also with my constituency with the CSM. Some people just run the missions for standings or for cash, and they just want predictable content because they don't want the ship blown up because they encounter an enemy they didn't anticipate. Well, one of the ways to fix that problem is to either tie it to storyline missions where people can compete for content, or have some modular content add-on, like the Angel Extravaganza mission, that there's an extra gate and, well, people can complete the mission without it, but for some extra things, you can do that bonus room. And there's some storyline missions as well, where the objective is to destroy one of the buildings, but there's a huge fleet spawning there, so the bonus is there to destroy that huge fleet, and usually it's impossible with the type of ship that's intended for that mission. So if you run a battle cruiser in a level 3 storyline mission like that, well, you're not going to make it properly. But if people bring in a Marauder or a battleship into that type of mission, they have some extra content to play with. Can some modular add-ons that spawn maybe randomly, so that gate in Angel Extravaganza can lead to something else and not some predictable pocket or something? Is that an option to explore?
It's certainly possible, even with the tools that we have right now. But it's much more time consuming for us to build that. We have done it to some extent. Like I said, you know, I don't know if any of you have done the drug sites that we added in. Sorry, the booster sites that we added in for Apocrypha.
Your drugs are bad, okay?
Don't do drugs.
But those have a number of officers that can spawn, and if the officers, with a very small percentage, if the officer spawns, then sometimes they drop a key, and if the key is there, then it will open an extra room. So I mean, there's stuff like that we can and have done. But as I said, it's a lot more costly for us to produce. It's really sort of a matter of looking at how much we can produce in a given amount of time. And if we're essentially building, 3 sites in the same time that we could build 10, then, it's a hard...
Swap those sites between the missions. You don't have to use one site for one mission, but exchange it and from modules.
Yeah, it's a bandwidth issue, not a desire issue. Yep.
I guess kind of going along with what I mentioned earlier, the increased difficulty, at least the availability of more difficult missions. I don't know how many people here play other MMOs, but
What?
yeah, I know. Excuse me. Used to play other MMOs. You know, in a lot of the other, when you're an actual person and not just this ship, there's not until we get walking in stations. Soon, Tim. No, you know, when we run missions, we regularly now encounter named NPCs that we have to fight, but they're by no means, say, a boss. Where, I mean, in a lot of other MMOs, you need 3 or 4 people to take down one boss. Mm-hmm. And is there anybody that would be okay with stuff like that? Or, I mean, you know, there's no, just a bit more challenge would be nice. Maybe it's something that you can skip. It's not a requirement for the mission, but the rewards are there if you call up a couple of your buddies and go into the next room of the Plex and take out, you know, the quote-unquote overseer. I mean, it shouldn't be easy, but, you know, there should be rewards there where you need a couple people to do it. And I don't know how you'd be able to work in the rewards. I mean, right now I think it's kind of complicated. If the leader turns in the mission and says, "Oh, just me," then there's that there. I mean, it could be an instantaneous LP that's given to them for killing that overseer or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Those were my only ideas for coming here.
Stevie, I think someone in the way back here is their arms going to sleep, I think.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. I feel like I should be doing some kind of Mexican wave as I go. But it's okay. We'll try it on the way back.
So I just had a question for the room and for the devs. I play with my 3 brothers and my dad, and we run level 4 missions like nobody's business. We've got 3 Marauders, a tactical cruiser, an Orca. We just blow through those. And in looking for more challenge, the general response is, we'll go play PvP. Well, my dad still accidentally blows up wrecks on a regular basis, so it's just realistically not an option for us. Crossing that 0.5 boundary means we all just explode, and nobody understands why. So we would love to see more higher-level content, more difficult content that doesn't require exposing ourselves to PvP, because there's only 5 of us, and we're just not really capable of that. So I don't know if that's, like, I understand that PvP is a core part of EVE, and I love that, but we're not there. We can't do it. So I don't know if anyone has thoughts or ideas on that.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like level 5 missions in
high sec level 5s, you know?
Something that lands in between.
The issue of putting hard missions in low sec is if you're going to be challenging yourself with PVE, and then PvP comes. And I love PvP, don't get me wrong, but if you're actually get PvP content that you're challenged to fight, and then anything comes PvP related, it just ends it, and it's over. So,
right.
You know, high sec it is great for those kind of things. You don't want to end the PvE experience because it's a challenge.
Well, let me bounce an idea off of you guys and see what you think. Like, in my mind, I think what I'd really like to see us doing in content is to take the missions and modify the difficulty of them so that they're completable by someone in a PvP fitted ship. So that we're getting people out into low sec, so that they're going out to fly missions specifically for that purpose. I mean, that's what they're there for, to make money flying missions. But they're also prepared for PvP if it comes along. It's not like you're sitting there fitted against Guristas and suddenly 3 guys jump in and kick your ass. So, I mean, does that sound like an idea that people would get behind?
Do that.
I'm sorry?
Are the fractional warfare, they have their own set of missions. Aren't they intended to do that, or aren't they not to do that?
They were somewhat balanced with PvP fits.
Yeah, they were. I mean, when we
were
built them.
playtesting them, we were in PvP fits instead of pure PvE
Yeah.
fits.
Sorry.
Go. Oh.
I believe the first QEN said that over 70% of the player base will not participate in PvP, at least initially or for an extended period. So in that case, if you're making a specific subset of missions for that, I could understand that. But if you're just making general missions for PvP fitted ships, then you're going to have a large portion of the player base not even attempting those.
Right.
Well, aren't wormholes just in that category? Because, I mean, I've been in wormholes since, like, day one. And... Thank you. Well done. And, you know, I got the impression that it was, at first, wormholes were an experiment. There was a lot of new things in there. But the AI that you've already mentioned for wormhole sleepers is absolutely brilliant. You know, they are not predictable. You've got to really tool up. You've got to go in a group. And isn't that where the level 4-5 mission kind of, and, you know, rats generally in 0-0 need to be? I mean, if you want to know my opinion about the sleeper AI is, fold it out, you know, roll it out across the rest of EVE, because it works.
Here's the problem with the sleeper AI, and I mean, we've certainly talked about doing that, but the problem is that the sleeper AI really only functions when there are more than one sleeper. I mean, they're spider tanking, they're supporting one another, right? If we're going to use the AI, we don't really want to drop it across all the NPCs in every mission, right? We want to use it for, like, lieutenants and bosses, which means there's only one or two intelligent enemies there, and it doesn't really... We've tried it, we've play tested, and it doesn't really change the way they behave that much. Ultimately. So, I mean, that's not to say that finding another AI and using it for those kinds of NPCs isn't a viable option, but the sleeper AI, as it's designed right now, won't really do what we want it to do.
And the other thing is retooling all the missions to use the sleepers. We can't just wholesale drop in sleeper AI NPCs in there, because they would all of a sudden, well, yeah, it would do bad things to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would die quite often.
Just like home.
But what the impression though, really, though, that the wormhole space sleepers were supposed to be a bridge after missions level 4s. They're supposed to be just, instead of making level 5s in high space, moving out of high space into wormhole space, where it's harder.
It wasn't quite like that, but essentially, like, the wormhole space, we sort of conceived the easiest parts of wormhole space are, like, about level 3 sort of difficulty, just subjectively. I mean, there's no hard value to that, but and then they go up from there. So that was kind of what we were using as a guide.
You've got a few areas to consider. There's people saying PVE, we want harder, more challenging PVE, but we don't want to die by anything that's going to surprise us. Fine. If you want to play that part of the game, and a lot of people do, great. Then make hard PVE. We want it in high sec. Every time we get a low sec here, someone guy shoots us. Damn it. That's part of the game, that's part of what everyone else does. Some people want to have that PvP challenge, and that's where the wormhole stuff comes in. So be careful you're not trying to solve everything with one set of ideas, because there's about 3 different strands.
Wormholes are primarily PvE. They have a PvP.
But they allow a PvP content, whereas a high-sec PvE system wouldn't do necessarily.
The devs are saying they're not willing to roll it out, but I'm saying, yeah, go on, do it, you know. Let some of these sleeper AI routines loose on some of the players.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of players who are looking for that kind of challenge, but there are an awful lot of players for whom level 4 mission grinding is their bread and butter, and if we drop a bunch of AI in there that blows them up when they go in there to make their money, they're not going to be happy. Do it randomly.
And I think another thing is, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I don't think the request is really harder missions per se, but I think it's just more engaging missions, where you have to think a little bit and go, okay, this NPC is doing that, so we should change up our tactic a little bit.
Can't you set your own difficulty for the AI for increased rewards? If you want to do it just brainless flying around, killing everyone, get cash, or if you tune up the AI, get more rewards, and have it more difficult.
I've heard of that, and some other game has that system. It's a DS game, but I've heard of this game mechanic before.
Difficulty is good though to allow multiple people to play. When I started playing with her and a real life friend, we played the missions in high sec, and we were real new, like a couple weeks out. We got level 4s, we could do them, and there was nothing else for us to do as a group that was challenging. So increased difficulty in a safe setting is really nice to actually be able to play with friends, because otherwise you're just like, oh, now I'm better, I can do it on my own. I'm losing money by doing it with you because it's not as efficient, and you lose the reward for group activity. So the difficulty is nice as an option.
Okay.
Is it possible to dynamically at that, where if you're working in as part of the fleet, or if more than one
And it's like that in wormhole space.
Yeah.
The sleepers do respond to your larger fleets.
Or have a fleet setting or single player setting for the mission themselves.
Yeah. I think. Go ahead.
I'm just going to give the back some love. Hold on.
Well, I don't want to change the subject too much here. We can come back to sleeper AI and Empire missions. I got to get my head around that still. I'm Skindu from Battle Clinic, and I have some members that asked me to ask in this session about standings increases to the NPC pirates through missions in low sec. Apparently, you can't get better standings with Serpentis unless you run missions in Fountain, mostly, down in Deep 00. But they have, like Thukar Tribe, which is described in game as a quasi-pirate organization. You run missions for them, you should be able to increase your standings with the NPC factions, even though they're primarily low sec. Thoughts? You look stunned up there, guys.
Well, you can. I mean, running missions for the Thukar, you can increase your standings with like 2 corporations. Maybe should be more, but yeah. But I mean, this is certainly another problem we've talked about, and one of the ramifications of the epic arcs that we brought in was potentially to be a solution to this problem, so that we could do an arc where one of the choices the player makes is to essentially become a turncoat, start working for the other organization, and then we give them a big standing hit for the one side and a boost for the other side. That's still something we're talking about, and we're working on the new pirate arcs right now. It's very possibly something we may go to. The ability to modify the standings, though, was actually a feature that fell off during Apocrypha, and so we didn't get it, so we weren't able to actually introduce it with the epic missions. But we now have it. So it's really just a matter of us finding the time to author some traitor mission
Right, and
arcs or something.
especially with these new pirate arcs, it's
Yeah.
going to be sort of important for us to let people fix their standings against the pirates, because
Yeah.
they're living in the space, but they're killing
Yeah.
the people by the thousands in this area, and their standings are just dropped to crap. And then they want to run these missions in the same space.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
we sort of need to give you guys a way to fix it.
Yeah.
Or else no one will be able to.
But everybody will be, even if you've tanked your standings with the pirates, you'll still be able to run these mission arcs because we've set the introductory. Basically, what we can do is the way the mechanics of the epic mission system work is we can use like a Galente traitor agent as the initial agent on the arc, right? So you go in. You get the mission because your Galente standing is high, or like whatever, right? And then once you're inside the arc, the other agents don't actually look at your standing at all. You just get fed the next mission by the next agent, and so once you're in the arc, you're fine. So even if you've tanked your standing with the pirates, you can still go do these arcs once they're out.
I was just wondering if we could have NCP agents in destructible 0.0 outposts. For all us.
Actually,
No.
Yeah, well, it was. it was a big desire of mine in Dominion, but it's just a massive sort of undertaking to make this whole thing happen and get these guys to. I was trying to figure out, tricky ways we could do it where they would be like, invisible, and somehow the Alliance could turn them on or something, and but yeah, suffice it to say, it's a technical challenge that someday we would love to be able to do it, but it's not just an easy thing to just plunk an agent in there. So
Bringing it in. This gentleman in the red had his hand up.
Cheers. Hi, just leading on to the standings issue. I've got one of my guys who's -5 to Caldari or something, and basically saying, I'm screwed. How do I get into Caldari space to start running missions? So will there be some way to actually repair standings with the major factions?
Well, again, I would like for us to produce some short arcs that are specifically for this purpose, where you have a player who's tanked their standings with a particular corporation and they want to go in, they go turncoat, and we just essentially flip their standings from one side to the other. And that gives players a chance who have been flying in Caldari space all this time, and are tired of those missions to go try something else. There's other content in other parts of the games they might not have run. So, love to be able to do that.
Where you had a really bad faction standing. In that case, it was Amar after faction water. There's a joint with a Minotaur, so that was really pissed them off. But what I did is I've been running Amatar missions, and the derived standing bonus that you get from that. I'm now running level 4 missions with Amatar, and modified standing with Amar is now minus 2.76 and dropping all the time, increasing all the time. So there's a way around it, but it takes a while.
Yeah, it's a common complaint. I mean, we got to find a way. We got to find a way around it. So.
Just to get into those agents, into the storyline agent, then you can raise all the free to point 1.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's very easy.
Sorry, just to bring back up the point of making NPCs more difficult. I have 2 observations, and one is from my own play of the game, and the other is, I read it, God knows where. But I don't know how many times I've killed an NPC and found drones in their wreck loot. But why don't NPCs ever use drones?
Well, technically the drones would be other NPCs with a little drone model instead. So, I mean, I guess it's entirely possible. There's some content where there's a carrier that has has fighters. So you see those. So that's one NPC that is sort of using drones.
Really, I'd like to be flying in low sec someday with my stealth bomber, just hitting a few battleships, for it to suddenly launch out 4 T2 drones or something at me, and for me to go, oh crap. Just to make it more difficult for myself. And even in missions, it would make a big difference to groups. Now, if you're doing them solo, maybe not, but if you have a group in there and one fella's in a frigate for taking out the other frigates, if the big battleships start dropping out drones to take on him, it's going to make it a hell of a lot more interesting, in my opinion. The second point is, and I can't remember where I read it, it was on pirate mining ops, not player pirates, but actually NPC pirates suddenly appearing in a mining belt with protection ships, a big orca or whatever, and actually start mining. And if anyone comes near them, they basically go out and rape the shit out of them. You get sick of warping into belt and seeing the same 2 in every belt for 10 belts in a row when you're trying to grind bit. Just what I've noticed.
Okay. Scott's taking notes.
Yeah.
He's like mining. I don't know who's next. Yeah.
One thing I noticed there with standings and missions, it's always a balance. And right now, it's possible to decline a mission, and then especially if you get a mission against another faction, you can decline it and move on. But it has what I see is like a negative effect that if you want to be on a mission and not kill other Empire factions, you really are best to be pushed towards hubs with lots of agents where everyone else is. And I enjoy missioning away from there, but I find then I'm stuck for 4 hours twiddling my thumbs with my stuff moved. And I was wondering if there was any way to say, I'm a law-abiding citizen, I'd like to kill pirates, not to cherry-pick exactly what missions, but just to say, I kind of would like some peace between the 4 factions. I don't wish to fight with them. I won't fight what I consider to be, law-abiding factions. But, and then you don't have to play the games where you can have one agent off and actually go off and live there and play missions and not being stuck there for 4 hours, not being able to do anything, or be forced to move into hubs, which you seem to want to discourage us for lag issues. And I just thought, what do you think about the simple solution of saying, I just don't want to shoot the 4 factions because, Empire space is high sec and things like that, and not taking those missions.
Are you working for one of the navies though when you're in one of these big hubs? That
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'd stay away from the hubs, and I end up just twiddling my thumbs for 4 hours instead. I actually mission run for Ishikone and Chemotech on the 2 sides, and I tend to balance my standings. Though being in faction warfare, I tend to just now run for Ishikone because I already get plenty of Galente standing otherwise. But No, I wasn't. Not. I tend to do internal security because I was hoping that might just be internal security and not actually having external warfare with other Empire factions. Obviously, I was a bit wrong on that, but I not.
Does
not
the
the
Federation militia know you're doing this stuff with Ishikon?
Yeah, they do.
Some notes here. Hang on.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility? Like, do you really want us to be hated by like half? No. It's not like it's not a jibe. Is that your intention really for us to be cut off from half of Empire? Is that something you want, or is that?
Well, I mean, the
unintended
idea
side
is that
effect?
if you are running, if you're running missions for Caldari State and for specifically like their navy, and you're killing a bunch of Galente, then you should be ruining your standings. But I mean, it's possible that if you're running missions for like transstellar shipping and you're only just moving their garbage about or quaif or something, that you wouldn't be ruining your standings. So I mean, it's
possible.
What about still being able to use combat skills to run missions, though, to actually be shooting? I mean, courier missions, I would say, are less interesting than combat.
Yeah, they're non-engaging. I agree.
Quite a gift for understatement.
Garbage around? Come on.
Is it? I don't know. Is that actually what? Am I fighting against your vision of the game, really?
No, not at all. I mean,
to be able to shoot things but not be.
Right. No, I mean,
trashing
I think it's a good suggestion, but I don't think if you were running for specifically the navies that I mean, obviously you'd screw your standings there. But if you're one of these more peaceful corporations and you're just trying to like clear their space of the pirate marauders who are attacking our shipments of,
Yeah. Again, it's a good change. A good change I'd like to see happen. It's just a matter of how soon or how feasible it is to make it happen.
All right. I'd like to go back to the previous discussion we had about making something more challenging, the level 4 missions. I mean, we have level 5 missions, but there's tags and the standings, and most of all, there's the exposure to pirates. And I like to look at that another way, because people want more challenge when it comes to missions, but they don't want to deal with the pirates, because you go in and have a fleet of like 4 or 5 battleship or a carrier to make a level 5 mission, and then you have to deal with pirates, and they're like 20, 25 of them. And if you bring 20, 25 people, they call on their friends, and you soon have 100 people getting, because they're quite organized, I know. And I'm just from the top of my mind, one way to sort of sort that out, and I don't think people have anything against the sort of casual pirate that's not organized, 1 or 2 battleship coming in and fighting you when you're doing missions. But one way to solve that they're not going to come in and too many of them, would be sort of like, these are the level 5 mission systems. People with, say, the security rate below that are not allowed in. There are players too, but they're quite organized and like to jump on easy targets, and people like a challenge, but not to get jumped.
One thing you could do is have a key to a gate, like in Worlds Collide, where you have to actually get the key to unlock the gate, and that'll prevent a lot of piracy from occurring in the mission without like completely throwing it over to the PVE side, making all the PvPers cry.
So there was 2 people talking. I couldn't.
Scanning, because I mean the pilots have got to scan out the mission site. So you take a hit, you have a high slot module, fires an anti-scanning probe, and for an amount of time your mission can't be scanned out. Maybe it's a suggestion.
Well, actually, that's there is a kind of a doing it the other way around. You can do that already in a way by not flying a huge ship. Sorry. So. Yeah, but that would be the solution. You design the low-sec missions to not be for battleships. They're for small ships, ships that are easy or, well, cheap to lose. It won't hurt you. But the missions are there to be run quickly with something small. At that point, you could bring back the gates, which will only allow, I don't know, frigates or destroyers or something in. So you kind of get around the problem by not thinking bigger is better. Because, yeah, well, that might.
Yeah.
Why don't you just limit the numbers? Say 10 people go into the mission, then why can't, say, 10 pirates come in? So it's even numbers when you go to attack somebody. So the pirates can still win, because I'm not against somebody going in and pirating, but why can't... Same thing you sort of do with wormholes, but you limit it to actual map. So infinite amount of people can go in, start running the mission, and I don't know how that would have been identified, but that's for you to work out. And then if someone's going to come in and attack, they can only attack with an equal force, maybe of numbers, maybe, but the PvP ships would still win, obviously, but you give you a bit of chance instead of having 100 come down on you and you're just blobbed, as they say.
It's fun to kill missioners.
Yeah, I'm not against that, but you shouldn't be blobbed, and it's stressful getting blobbed, because when you get blobbed, it's you no way of getting out of it. This way, you can actually win, and you can actually fight back, and not get insta-popped.
But you don't have a chance anyway if you have aggroed all of the NPCs inside your one ship. And there's one other ship, you're still going to get raided because you have tons of ship attacking you. He's just going to pop you over with almost no effort at all.
I think it sort of boils down to the play experience that people want to have, and some people are sort of going in for a bit of a casual experience, and they don't want this massive adrenaline rush and a whole bunch of people shooting at them. They just sort of wanted to kill some NPCs and check their loot and progress their character a little bit, and so I mean we see that there's multiple ways to play the game, and we want to provide for both of that, and
One idea I had during my term of the CSM, it was not my idea, it was posted on the forums, but I'd just like to get both the devs and the players' viewpoint on it, is different venues for missions. We currently have agents, which are the bane of high-sec space, and exploration, which is sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. What about other types of venues like contract missions or stuff like that? Stuff that opens up different doors for other areas of the game.
Pulling up your contracts and seeing NPC available missions via contract?
Something like that, yeah.
Just going to go give the fifth row some love because they've all been putting up their hands and they keep getting missed out. So, fifth row, this is for you.
Thank you. I was thinking something which is a bit different from what has been said now. Most people who are doing PVE are usually at a disadvantage, even with equal numbers, against PvP people that could invade their mission, not only because of experience, but also because of fitting. You know, you fit for PvE and you fit for PvP. They are different fittings. So once PvP invades your mission, they are at an advantage. The reason to fit for PvE, for PvE differently than for PvP are different. But there is one thing that has not been addressed yet, which is that basically NPCs cheat. You know, you all know. They do not react to ECM as PvP ships. They do not react to energy drain as the PC ships. In many cases, a PvE fit is better than a PvP fit. Against the NPCs, just because the NPCs actually behave differently than PC ships. And possibly this could be a point to address.
Well, I can tell you the reason why that is. It's because it's much easier on the calculations on the server to do it. Yeah, to do it the way we do it. So if we had everything behaving in the way that player ships did, things would crumble and burn. And yeah.
Well, that's an idea.
Hi, I have two questions. The first question is on behalf of my corporation. We're a corporation of Angel Cartel loyalists, and one of the things we want to do for roleplay is actually do missions for the Angel Cartel, but when we look, we see there's curse, and yeah, one does not simply walk into curse. So my question is, why do the pirates only have their agents in 0.0? I can see it's maybe because of balancing, because the rewards are quite good you get from the LP stores. But yeah, is there any reason why they couldn't be in low sec? Because we already have rats randomly in regions in low sec, and yeah.
Well, I guess the reason their agents aren't there is because the empires have kicked them all out. Now, in the future, it's possible you might find one walking around in a bar owned by a player, but I can't really speculate on that. But well, they're flying around, but they're not. They haven't got like you can't dock in a station and meet them and say, hey, give me a mission to go. You know.
Right. Like space agents.
Space agents. Yeah.
But there's tons of them everywhere. So why can't you have a low sec agent from like Sons of the War, Angel Cartel, just in space, in spaceship?
Well, one idea, which another game which I beta tested and found out really sucked,
we should copy that then.
Yeah.
Had is an enemy NPC that you fight, and maybe it has a small chance of suddenly at half armor it'll say, wait, look, if you'll do this mission for me, I won't bother you anymore, that kind of thing. Something where they can give you a mission without actually being at a station and having some kind of random variable.
This is actually one of my little personal projects I like to throw at people every once in a while and see if it'll stick. So, I mean, anything's possible at this point. I'd love to see it happen. I'd love to start pushing content onto players, Convoy flies out of the station and says, hey, we need an escort. Maybe you need to come and help. I mean, I'd love to do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Like if you do a lot of missions for a pirate faction, the rats won't start attacking you anyway. Even if you get superb standing with a pirate corporation, like I've done a lot of missions for Santos Nation, have a very good standing, the rats still attack me.
They're pirates, so what they
Yeah.
And they're zombies. Yes. I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
Pirate zombies.
and they want your blood.
Probably pirate zombie ninjas.
So more comments, questions by most people?
Yes, there was a second question.
She had two questions.
Yeah. Just to add to that, we also think it would be really nice if the rats wouldn't attack us if we have a certain kind of standings, because that would help convince the players in my corp to do the missions. I mean, I think some of them would even be crazy enough to go into curse a mission there just to not get shot. So, for example, if we go pirate in Metropolis, where there are angel rats, and we know the rats won't shoot us in the belts, then it's really like being a pilot working for the angels.
Then you can also have, if someone attacks you, jump into belt and the rats won't attack you, but they will attack him, be giving you a better chance, because you have been working, by fighting for you, you've been working for them. So.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you a little bit of leverage for doing the mission for them and things like that.
Yeah.
What if you had like a faction war aspect of the pirate factions, that you could sign corporations up to them, and then you would technically be working for those pirates? The NPCs don't shoot the people under their banner, and then they can show the rest of you that they work for that pirate corporation as well. Maybe also, when you go into that, anyone that, like the Galante would hate Serpentis, any Galante pilots would see as Serpentis corporation suddenly has -10 and able to shoot them.
It'd be cool to bring other factions into factional warfare.
That's true. Yeah. Yes.
usually already shoot pirates anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to add.
Yeah.
We got about 10 minutes or so left.
Can I just ask my second question, or?
Yeah, sure.
No, I'll keep it short. It's more a suggestion for you guys. People said they want more challenging missions, and I would also like to see different missions. Like I've heard about speed missions coming up, and yeah, I like the idea. I already do level 3s in an assault frigate, and I think it's great fun because I used to do them in a Drake, and it was dreadfully boring. And yeah, why not make missions for interceptors? I've heard back in the days you could do high-level missions in interceptors before they all got a bit balanced, and I think maybe interceptor missions would be cool. Missions where you take out a logistics ship and you have two sides fighting against each other, and you in your logistics you keep the NPCs on your side up so they win. Yeah, all kinds of things, like with the sleepers, and you can use CCM against them, maybe incorporate that. I think things like that would be really fun, and they would make PvE a lot more interesting.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, these speedboat missions are balanced for, they're level 3 missions balanced for an interceptor. That's, essentially the whole point of it. And the goal behind that is to really try to find, earlier a complaint was that missions aren't challenging enough, and we're thinking, well, without just cranking the difficulty and then making it unbearable for people who don't want them to be more difficult, what other kinds of missions can we bring into the game? Have the challenge be a result of, having to fight in a different way or having to fight in a different kind of ship as opposed to just having to add more shields or, repair faster.
Yeah, the question I have is, are all agents going to be able to give those?
No. These are all of the Epic Arc missions are given out by specific agents. So you have to go find the agent. The speedboat. Yeah.
Hi again. Going back to the problem with being jumped in low sec when you're doing the mission. The problem normally is that you're in the middle of like 30 ships, right? Most of them locked you, well, all of them locked you. Right, possibly scrambled, and you're happily battering away thinking, yeah, I can do this. Your PvP guy jumps in and goes, ha, I've got you. I will then assist the NPC, beat the crap out of you, you're dead, and they'll warp out. That's great. You get the same thing when you're doing missions as a group. You send in your tank first, he goes, hang on guys, I'll let you know when I've got all the aggro. Right, I've got it, you guys jump in, and you carry on. Could you make it so that the NPCs actually reevaluate when a new ship jumps in? So some of them might actually change target. So your PvP guy jumps in and thinks, I've got you, and suddenly, Serpentis or something, I can't target lock. Right? I'm scrambled, and the guy that you've actually tried to gank, right, joins up with the NPCs and beats the crap out of the attacker.
I've noticed that in Worlds Collide 4. I'm not sure about other missions, but where the NPCs will change targets. In the first room, if they will stay at a distance and only stay within a certain area. And then they'll change targets when I send out my drones. Sometimes they'll start shooting the drones, and I'm like, recall, recall, recall. Do you think that could be possible in more missions?
Definitely possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's just it's always a it's always a difficult balance between what we want to create in terms of new content and how much time do we have to fix the old content that's the game. It's definitely it's part of CCP's MO to keep updating things and make it better, make it prettier, make it So we definitely want to go back and fix all this old content. We know there are things that are broken about it. We know there are things that are incredibly dull about it. And so we do want to fix it. It's just we just have to make the time to do it and have a good plan for it.
One other part of that balancing act is that for everything we do to make our really stupid NPCs a little bit smarter, that's one extra thing that the server has to think about. And if we let them all have all sorts of interesting mechanics where they, he did this, now I'm going to do this, and then it just, it the less NPCs we can actually have out there doing things. So.
Right.
If you push that more to the client, especially if it's not PvP related, there would be less risk of us using it as an exploit as such. Couldn't that processing be possibly pushed, distributed out to the
No.
client board?
No, we can never trust the client.
No.
It's just. Yeah.
Talking about server load balancing and that, basically with regards to performance, why is the resist basically like 8 decimal points sometimes? Why isn't there rounding on resist on the ship?
The floating point math is not necessarily harder for the computer to figure out. That having more decimal points is not really the thing. It's just the amount of like different things it has to keep in memory and the different calculations it has to do. So.
And is there any plans to basically make Rex scannable to reduce the overhead local?
What I didn't quite catch what you said. Sorry.
No, like Rex at the moment, you can't scan down a Rex.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is there any plans to basically give it a really small, like, signature, so that yes, you can find it, but obviously the reward back from it potentially could be all right. But again, when you do like a directional and local in a mission hub, it's horrendous because there's loads of Rex that people have left. And that would reduce the overhead in local, would it? Or would it not?
I get the same problem in CC, don't you? There's too many Rex lying everywhere.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different reasons that you might have like a laggy experience, but I think on CCs when you warp into the battlefields and there's like massive things, your client has to load it all, so it just lags you out, and then you're dead because some guys camped there. So.
But I know that's why you put the delay in on the directional.
Well, yeah, and just the actual calculation that the directional had to do was a pretty heavy calculation, and we found that people were sort of, figuring out ways that they could just macro it to like just, constantly scan and go scan everything and then this much and there and there and there and here and there, and it was just way too much with how much, and so we had to bump it down to a minute point, or a second and a half.
Yeah.
Fixing old content creates new content. Like to push that out.
It's true. I think there's like 2 minutes or so.
Yeah. I was wondering, one of the things that I've always seen as the big problem with the security status of systems is you tend to get all mission runners in 0.5 and above, and purely pirates in 0.1 to 0.4. If there was a scalable security system, so there was a calculated chance of Concord response throughout the whole spectrum, where the security status of the system would be a variable in how likely Concord was to respond to an activity, this might be a system that would encourage mission runners to venture lower and encourage more bold pirates to venture higher up in the scale.
You'd probably have to make it a bell curve, though. You couldn't have it a straight line to make sure that the differentiation between high sec and low sec still remains pretty available.
Yeah, and it could end up where it's just so vague that nobody knows where they're safe, or for both sides. So.
Yeah, I'm sure pirates are love comes up because they want PvP. If you're going to be attacked, I live in low sec. I'm not pirate. It's not personal interest, but from their side, they're in low sec because they seem to want a PvP. So I think adding in Concord really is. Crippling them.
Yeah, there's a danger to breaking down it's a soft barrier, but it's a barrier, between high sec and low sec. There are players who want to play and be safe and not have to worry about it. So the more you blur those lines, the more danger there is of ruining the play experience for both sides, just as much as you're improving it for a small subset of players.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's not actually a question, more or less a request to all of you, asking how many voted for the CSM. The next election is going to come up, and the CSM is the best channel to talk to CCP. In fact, I've been sitting next door just an hour ago, and we were talking about removing level 4s from high sec. just to give you an idea about how much PVE is represented in the council, I'm currently the only one having to listen to. You're a Care Bear, go away. So go vote for the CSM if you want to have more PVE issues represented there.
I will agree. I mean, I was a PVE a member of the CSM, and I believe me and the other PVEers were part of the reason there were so many PvPers on this one, because they fall back.
Naturally, they do. Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we should clear the room out and go get something to drink and bathroom and let the next.
Don't
group.
get something to drink in the bathroom, though. That would be a bad idea.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.